the new game run. In other words, starting from a completely new save and then going through the game 100%. Kind of a traditional sort of video anytime there's a big update in the game. I think it always pays to be able to see, hey, how's it go when you don't have everything 100% upgraded and, well, anything at all. It was actually something I had suggested in the comments of one of the previous videos, to go through the game without having all the weapons upgraded. But I thought, since this is one that I tend to do with just about every single major update, that, you know, why not get this one? Why not check out this one right now? Strike while that iron is hot? I don't know. So, what's the plan here? Well, it's pretty much the same as usual with any sort of new game run, and that is that, well, actually, more specifically, what I'm going to be doing in this one is I'm just going to be using I'm not going to be using any sort of new blueprint that I find, because I want to take on the hand in the most vanilla way possible. And since there is some variance on what drops when it comes to blueprints in each one of the levels, I decided that it's like, okay, if I get a fire grenade or an oiled sword or whatever, I would not use that. That's not really a problem, because there is always one very easy to get, very powerful weapon that you can get in the early game, and that is the Assassin's Dagger. And the Assassin's Dagger and Bear Trap combination is a very potent combo indeed. So since that is something that you can always get, I said, yeah, sure, fair game, whatever. I grabbed the firebrands in the first area there on the off chance that I would have something that's synced up well with, you know, plus 100% on fire or whatever sort of combination, but obviously that's pretty unlikely to get, since you tend to get a lot of affixes after you've upgraded everything. In the vanilla version, I think even endgame weaponry is only going to net me, what, like 2 affixes on just about anything? Aside from that, there's nothing really to say about, like, strategy going through each one of the levels. I mean, you're just going to be going through each one of the levels. That's why this video is probably going to be on the shorter side compared to a lot of the more recent stuff, especially doing nightmare mode runs, which are obviously very long because you gotta take that a little bit slower, do it with a little bit more finesse. New game run though, it's like, you know, 0 cell difficulty. There's not, you can already see how loosely packed these enemies are in here. Try to guess how many times that I forget that I don't have the ability to climb on walls. Just look for it. Anytime it looks like, hey, why am I just kind of like jumping up against the wall uselessly for no reason? Also annoying, the inability to sell stuff. So money is something at a premium here comparatively. Not as much of a big deal as you would think, because going through the game quickly, you tend to hit a lot of timed doors. And additionally, I will have access to the forge to be able to buff out just about any sort of weapon that I would, miss the parry there, that I would desire in my build that I don't just find along the way. For example, if I don't ever, I think the way, for example, I think the Assassin's Dagger, if I don't find one out in the wild, and I won't because I want to unlock it before the incomplete one fight. So, what I'll do is I will unlock that for the first time before the incomplete one fight, and then unlock that upgrade that for the first time right after the assassin fight. So then I will guarantee myself a decently leveled version of that weapon, even though I may never actually find it anywhere in the game. Same thing, I can upgrade the bear trap to make sure that I have a bear trap at any point in time. Presumably the best way to get one would be after to get the highest level one possible would be after the assassin fight. And then ice grenade probably, because ice grenades are just very good and you have them unlocked from the very start. However, you can only pick up one in a new game because, you know, you're starting on 0 cell mode. Go parry king there. Starting on 0 cell mode so that it's already unlocked. You can't unlock it, and then you can only upgrade it once until you get the second boss cell. Which I will get the second boss cell after the final boss. And that's quickly becoming one of the more frequently asked questions. I'm noticing that, how do you get the boss cells? And it's like, well, they're making it a straight-up new game mechanic now. You got to beat the best to become the best, essentially. And I'm not surprised. It was always something. It was always extremely easy to get the second, third boss cells after grabbing the first one. Because all you have to do is go beat the incomplete one or whatever, and then that's a huge leap up in difficulty from the start. I don't know. I guess it's something more frustrating if you don't want to go through the game many, many times to get the easiest path to maximum cell gain possible, but I don't know. At the same time, it is extremely difficult to go through some of the higher cell difficulties, especially if you're just starting out the game. And even if you're not starting out the game, with 4 cell difficulty, it just becomes not so crazy town. Let's go with that phrase. Obviously, I have to grab at least the first health flask, because otherwise you can't actually unlock anything. I think you can still upgrade stuff, but I want that Assassin's Dagger. The Assassin's Dagger is maybe one of the best weapons that you can get right off the bat here. I mean, sure, it's always nice to have a decently upgraded Balance Blade or whatever, but the Assassin's Dagger, you're not going to be fighting the Watcher, which I say is probably the most powerful enemy that doesn't have a back in the game. So it used to be a little bit worse, but now that the Assassin and the Hand of the King do have a back, it becomes a lot better to, you know, fight them with that. Even though the Hand tends to not show his back, and he is maybe one of the very few enemies that actually can turn around in a bear trap if he's doing his dash at the time. So you kind of have to head him off before he even starts up that attack. It's weird, and I'll kind of get to that when the time comes. Obviously, I could probably go grab an Acid Nerves here if it happened to spawn with the right thing, but that's not going to be available on every single time, so I think having something that synergizes, if I get a plus 100% on Bear Trap, which I don't remember if I do or not, and then if you get a plus 100% on the Assassin's Dagger, which I believe I do get, like, surprisingly luckily. Not that it would make all that much difference ultimately in the... could have been a good get, but nope. Because I still don't... No, I do actually have a necklace here, so it's not the worst. I think that even in New Game, you want to follow the old rule of fight elites if you can, because those necklaces can be pretty powerful. You don't have the extra 5, 6, 7, 9 stats that you get from just going through the first area. 9? Maybe even more, because technically that would be, 8 and then another 2 on 4 cell difficulty from a necklace that you could probably get. And then obviously the 2 that you get from the Scrolls of Power. Point is, you can start out with a lot of stats in early game at higher level difficulties or at high amounts of what would you call it? Upgradiness? Upgradation. Surprisingly enough, that was just a straight upgrade for my necklace there. Also, I noticed that I missed a Scroll of Power, so I always pay to check the map. Oh, so aside from that, I do think that the Infantry Grenade is pretty good because I am going to be going with a Brutality build. Obviously, there's no better thing that you can go for with in a starting build if you're going to be going with the Assassin's Dagger. Sure, it's nice to utilize a shield. You might get a little extra what's the word I'm thinking of? Damage reduction out of that, but the hand fight tends to be so long that you'd rather go for something that gives you extra damage than extra survivability because, yeah. Mutations, I feel like, are all pretty much set in stone considering the build that I'm going for. You get the cooldown reduction for cooldown reduction. It still remains the best mutation in the entire game, in my opinion. The heart, because the only other, like, the ability to heal a little bit on killing something, whatever. The ability to, have extra ammunition, that could be useful, but not with any of the infantry bow would be really nice, but not everybody would have it on a starting run like this. Yeah, it'd be nice to be able to use a bow, especially that infantry bow, but, like, it's not going to work with a brutality build, is what I'm saying. only the infantry bow would work with a brutality build, and there is no way I can use that in good conscience considering the rules that I've already kind of set out for myself. And this isn't even the one that has acid nerves anyway. So pretty much the extra 30% health is the one to go for. I like that I threaded the needle directly into that pit. Excuse me. That was pretty skillful play there. Technically, I could use something like support because the bear trap is considered something like a turret, so I would be able to get a little extra damage from that. But would I be able to get a little extra enough damage from that to make it worth it? Probably not if I'm going to be building straight brutality for most of the run. I could have easily gone to an assassin build, pick up tactics along with brutality, but I think that would have been the weaker build comparatively because I think you really do want as much. If I don't get something that syncs with fire, I would much rather have the health and a decent shield. And despite the fact that I do get that, I mean, there's no guarantee. And in fact, the fact that I did is kind of an amazing get. To the point that I feel like it may go a little against the rules that I set out for myself, but whatever. I can always do another one of these videos. Oh yes, this was the point where I had to check to see if I had a plus 100% on poison target, so I could do this. Yeah, that stupid cheese tactic still works. It's just you need to like jump above him, and especially on 0-cell difficulty, that's maybe not the best way to go about killing the incomplete one. I could have easily just whacked him a few more times with my, Assassin's Dagger as well, and that would have been equally as effective. But hey, whatever. It's not like I was going to be using the health flask charge for anything else. Yes, and here's where I get to have my pick of what do I want at this point. It could have been better to get a... I mean, in fact, I think it probably would have been better to maybe hold off on this, because this build was working totally fine for me. And just wait until I got to the assassin fight. Checking the modifiers there. Or the affixes. Yeah, it could have been more worthwhile to wait until after the assassin fight, because then I would have a more higher leveled, higher ranking of those weapons. But at the same time, I also like the idea of having my build all sorted out right now to make fighting like any future elites or whatever as easy as possible. I mean, with New Game, the route you always go for is set in stone, so I think that having some form of CC for the clock tower is going to be worthwhile. Because especially on the castle, which Guardian Knights, you don't really have as many options to deal with those guys, because they're pretty hard to deal with a melee range, and then the other thing is that they additionally have a lot more health than you think they would. Yeah, thankfully there are not a whole lot of options for different shops. It's hard to get a single weapon, but getting a skill is pretty easy. Getting whatever skill you need to find is pretty easy. Also, I keep forgetting what my various buttons are, so I had to switch those around. So I didn't try to keep throwing bear traps at the kamikaze bats. That could have been an issue if it was like a single tile higher than that. But it wasn't, so I survived. Whatever. I always have the safety net of having the heart mutation on me anyway. Oh yeah, this, I think, aside from the one that you find in the clock tower, is the one guaranteed chest, curse chest that you're going to get. So if you're going to get any decent colorless weapon, This would be the time to see if you could get a good ranged weapon, I would say, more than anything else. Or maybe get like the bleed turret going on for you. Because those would both be, I would say, pretty decent gets as far as like stuff to buff out your build that you wouldn't necessarily have the ability to use otherwise. I don't think that, I mean, I am well aware of how powerful the throwing knives are, but really, I never like them all that much, and I think that I would be better served using... That was a good dodge. I think I would be better served using the Assassin's Dagger in most circumstances compared to, you know, throwing knives at dudes. Really, I would have, like, yeah, a double-notch bow would have been great, or the turret would have been great. Those would be, I think, the ideal gets for an offhand sort of colorless weapon. Additionally, then, if I lost the heart, I could have easily justified taking the extra, what am I thinking of? Extra ammunition. Yeah, survival, sure, because I'm building some brutality and survival. Yeah, I could have justified taking the extra ammunition for the bow then. Here, again, the time that it would take to throw out I kill enemies fast enough that the extra bleed time doesn't really matter. It would only really matter in a boss fight. But I don't think it would be that much of a boss fight either way. If I had some synergies on bleed, maybe, but then I wouldn't. But then having it be colorless wouldn't even matter. Yeah, maybe I'm just undervaluing it. I don't know. Don't listen to me. Let your own freak flag fly. Don't let me tell you what to take and what not to take. Maybe I'm throwing away the best dang weapon you can get in the game. So, I don't know. Either way, I've already spent enough time in the Fog Fjord here. And a little bit of cleanup here and just grab the key and go is probably the best option. I usually think that maybe spending the least amount of time in the Fog Fjord possible is the best option, depending on what sort of run you're doing. So, the fact that I've been here for so long already is worrying. Well, whatever. There's a couple more scrolls to get, and I've already seen the curse chests, so yeah, that's pretty much all I wanted to do here anyway. You know, it's a little bit of a conundrum to think, do I want to go for some sort of godlike build by upgrading a bunch of different items and seeing if I can get the right affixes with them after the assassin fight, or would it be more worthwhile to, you know, use what I already have and then try to just get as many health potions, try to get the second health potion upgrade, because I think that would, well, the first health potion upgrade, the first one was just unlocked, you know what I mean. And I eventually went with just taking the items that I already had, but I do kind of think that it might have been... it's hard to say, because obviously the biggest issue when it comes to doing this run is going to be the final boss fight. The final boss fight is just far and away the hardest part of the game, now and forever. Amen. Projectiles burn the ground behind them wouldn't have been bad, but also wouldn't have really worked with the whole massive amount of CC and that I'm working with as far as the build goes. If you don't get any, yeah, like I said, if you don't get any good affix, if you don't get a good colorless weapon, if you don't get a good affix, then, you know, grabbing just a good shield, a KO shield, I think at this point would be the only real option, is the best thing I think you could probably do. But if you don't have stuff upgraded, the damage reduction is pretty minimal, so you're going to be using it as an actual, you know, shield. Also, first time that I haven't just ran up the wall in a while. Does that mean anything? I don't know. Hey, guess how many times I get hit by ball and chains in this area? It's a lot. Guess how many times I forget that I can't climb up the wall again. Oh, new game. You are fun to do, but You know, there are always people that say like, oh man, that was really close. Oh man, if I could, you know, forget everything about this game, go back to start, you know, do it all over again. Oh, I'd do it in a heartbeat. I mean, I just sit there and I'm like, dude, you are crazy. I would never want to go back to like seeing this game for the first time. I am so happy with how I'm playing right now. God, I couldn't even imagine myself just fumbling around trying to figure out what to do, not realizing how powerful like synergies are. Good 360 no scope there, Bombardier. Like, damn. Not even worth getting that. Not even worth getting that shiny stone there. That extra amount of money doesn't matter at all. Also, God, is this like the tankiest guy ever? Well, anyway. No, nice. Well, anyway, yeah, it's like, I don't know. I feel like that for a lot of games where it's just like, I don't want to. I am certainly happy, just being not total garbo at the game, even if that means that the sense of novelty that you get from, you know, playing it for the first time is gone. Of course, I also think that this game benefits a lot from, you know, it's actually something true with a lot of roguelikes, I think, that you benefit a little bit more from having some foreknowledge or looking stuff up on a wiki or whatever, because, yeah, it's fun, like, seeing everything for the first time and all that, but I don't know. I also think that not going into something entirely in the dark, that you're going to have to restart. You have to restart the entire game if you go into this game entirely in the dark. And you're going to be doing that many times. Dozens, if not hundreds, as I have, of times. I don't know if it was hundreds of times in the first time I played it. But who knows? And for example, it's like you could go play a game like, say, NetHack without knowing anything about anything, but you will not get very far, one. And two, probably not have a very good time. Just get frustrated at the fact that you keep picking up cursed objects and you don't know how to tell if something is cursed or not. You drop it on an altar. Let's talk about blessed, uncursed, and cursed status. No, I'll save that for some other video when I run out of stuff to say. Good affix on that grenade there. Actually, good stuff all around, but I don't know if it's worth it, because if there is an upgraded well, I mean, I know what happens, obviously, but if there was an upgraded version of the Assassin's Dagger in the castle, it probably would have been, because that's a bread and butter weapon. It would have been better to get that weapon there rather than, you know, getting a slightly upgraded version of one of the accessories I'm mostly using for their secondary abilities than like primary damage or damage reduction. Well, I guess damage reduction is not primary, but I want the freezing and I want the stop enemy from turning around abilities that you get from Ice Grenade and Bear Trap, respectively. Clock Tower, I do think, is another place that I don't want to stick around in too long. I mean, could I have opened up that other cursed chest? Yeah, probably, but this has also been a pretty decent run so far. I mean, you can never say if something is actually a good run or not until it's over. Hey, nice. Got a kill by having an enemy fall on another enemy. You can never really say until the end of the run if it's a good run or not, but especially because the king is, or the king's hand is obviously the big deciding factor of if you're going to actually finish a run or not. It ain't nothing but the final boss. Second place is first to lose, and other dumb nonsense. Yeah, Oiled Sword. Not that I have anything that syncs up well with Oiled Sword anyway. I mean, maybe if I kept the Firebrands, but not really that big of a deal. I don't think Firebrands, even if I'm not using the colorless, yeah, with the apply oil and everything, is actually pretty good, because if I do get something that syncs up with Burn, or if I just decide to take a Firebrands here, that I think would be ideal for this circumstance. Nice try. But yeah, Firebrands are nice. I don't think they're that nice. Even if I'm not using the colorless throwing knives, they're still probably a better secondary weapon to have over anything else. Yeah, that teleporter being in the middle there just made it absolutely impossible to get to it easily. Don't really see that too often, but hey, it happens. Yeah, let's go click on it with a mouse or something. Yeah, they added motion twin. I mean, don't. That is the most pointless thing to possibly conceive of as far as a feature in this game. Shopkeepers still don't... Shopkeepers, when you have a merchandise category, still don't... still respond as if they've run out of stock or you've run out of money or whatever. But yeah, anyway, can't take the oiled sword because that's not the run I'm doing. And thank God I'm not in 4-cell difficulty, so I can actually get health flask refills. Woof. Assassin is countered pretty good by her namesake dagger. I mean, well, she doesn't actually use that. She uses some sort of gigantic broadsword, but I don't know. Yeah, you can already see just how ridiculously effective it is. And because she keeps running away from you, she will constantly run into your other bear trap that you set down, and you get even more damage off of that. Yeah, she can turn around in a couple ways, and this is obviously one of the worst ways that you can get her in a bear trap, because whoop, right out of there. But aside from that, I mean, I'd say pretty solid fight all around. Should have just used the throwing knives there, made it a little bit more safe, but that's fine too, whatever. It's all good in Parenthood. Second time I've said that in one of these Dead Cell videos. Anyway. Alright, and here's where we see, what do you get for the Assassin's Dagger? And then also grab the KO shield, because that's just gonna be better. I'm not even using the... Oh, plus 100% on burning target, you should have waited! You could have gotten a firebrands out of that. Whoopsie doodle. Ice Shock could be decent, but I think that shield's better. Then again, the ability to slow... Well, I do already have an Ice Grenade, so that's not... So slowing down the hand is not really of utmost importance, at least in my opinion here. I mean, the ability to slow down enemies is always pretty nice, but I'm not going to have any... Actually, I do have Oil Synergy. Yeah, and look at how much health that Guardian Knight had there. Now, there was no easy way to be able to take that dude down. And honestly, I would think that if you're doing a new game here, you probably just want to go do like the protagonist of Model Land and only get 2 keys. Was that a reference to Model Land? Yes. Thank you, Tyra Banks. I love you, but you make terrible novels. Anyway. Yeah, and probably go Thorny and basically not the double tracker fight is what I'm thinking. Assassin's Dagger Bear Trap combo making short work. Really, when it comes to the castle, the castle as a biome has some pretty hefty enemies in them. They take quite a bit of damage, and they deal quite a bit of damage. So I think that overall going for a strategy of don't mess around with them if you don't have to is kind of the optimal strategy here. Of course, that's also kind of the optimal strategy in every time you go to the castle, which is mitigate your risks as best as possible. If you have a particularly good run going, why not go take all 3 keys and get the boomerang blueprint if you can. Yeah, I didn't even want to risk it. And of course, it doesn't even matter anyway. Got hit regardless. But yeah, mitigate risk and just go for as many keys as you think you have the build to do, whether it's 3 or 2 keys. At least that's how I've been doing it, and I don't think getting that singular extra stat at the end is really worth it. Yeah, Boomerang's also one that I technically could use in this run, because if you get all 3 keys, you get the blueprint, but... man. I should have just went up the chain and not even screw around with killing these guys. There's no real point. It's not like It's not like, oh no, that Inquisitor was totally going to hit me if I just ran up the chain immediately. I would have been fine. At least the enemy's burn on death is getting me a little bit of synergy here, even if it's not the best. This is just crazy. Very close to losing the heart there. Yeah, and you might be saying, I do have two... You might be saying that, yeah, I do have two bear traps, and I do have two... Oh yeah, you kill one and everything starts on fire, and then it's eased down. I do have two bear traps, I do have the assassin dagger. Those counter the trackers, especially even elite trackers, even double elite tracker fight. You do throw down two bear traps. That counters them pretty well, but... That's exactly what I was thinking at the same time, so I do eventually go for 3 keys here anyway. Hey, that singular extra stat isn't that important, but I was getting pretty cocky at this junction. Nothing all that good in the shops right now, which, you know, whatever. But the other secondary sort of goal that I was going for here was to see, could I happen to find a firebrand? That's the only thing that will that I know will deal out fire damage. That was a pretty risky area, and then I got hit anyway. Of course, that's why you carry around a an ice grenade until those cooldowns are up. Run into the other bear trap. But yeah, there are other conceivable ways that you could get fire. For example, parrying an enemy will cause them to burn, I think, is something you can down shield. Obviously, enemies, when they die, they start on fire. That's one thing. Projectiles burning the ground behind them, if I got that earlier turret. Of course, I don't think that earlier turret would have been very good because I have pretty low tactics, so it would just be for the burn. But how could I have possibly predicted that I would get a plus 100% on burning target Assassin's Dagger? That's crazy. So yeah, I'm just looking for the Botanic Laboratory and then I'm out of here. And frankly, I don't even want to fight that elite right now. I am satisfied enough with my... Oh, come on, get into the bear trap. I am satisfied enough with my current current necklace that I don't... I mean, he could also drop firebrands, but it's not worth it. It's not worth the risk. I'm already half down on health, and although I do have a heart to back me up, I would rather save that for the upcoming fight against the hand. So the reasoning should be obvious here why I wouldn't want to screw around with a good thing, even though it wouldn't be very difficult. Uh-huh. And that revenge right at the very last second. Good stuff, good stuff. You know what, Thorny? You deserve it. Normally, I would be thinking that I was getting dangerously high on infection, but not a big deal since anything that could possibly deal out infection is already, well, dealt with. Ooh, that was really bad. And then going the wrong direction there wasn't that big of a deal, but hey, I'm back now. Find teleporter and get to the exit was pretty much the plan here. Additionally, there may also be a firebrands past this point, because you do get your choice of, hey, and there is. You get your choice of 2 different items at the end here. So I lucked out to a kind of insane degree. And with my health as it is, and the fact that I wasn't going to use a boomerang anyway, there was no reason to grab that blueprint. And that leads us to everybody's favorite part of the new update. Yep, it is the hand fight. And I don't know, I mean, I don't really need to spend these cells anyway because this file is probably going to be deleted regardless. It's like I have one of them set aside to do new games. So, it's not like I'm going to be keeping any progress on this anyway. All right. How do you want to deal with this? I think what you want to do is bait out an attack. I think the best way to do this is bait out an attack, then throw the bear trap on top of the hand, and then roll behind it. Because otherwise he will do that little shimmy shake and not actually face away from you, which really lessens the effectiveness of... Yeah. Oh, come on. Went right into it anyway. which really lessens the effectiveness of the bear trap. Also, gotta remember to keep throwing out the... Gotta remember to keep throwing out those, firebrands as much as possible. Yep, and okay. Throw out the firebrand, man. Ah, whatever, it's not that big of a deal. Additionally, the slow that you get on the ice grenade makes it so it's still a pretty worthy contender to be in the fight anyway. Yeah, having firebrand, the oil from... Ooh, close. Really close. Yeah, the firebrand, the oil that I get from throwing down the bear trap. Should have baited out the attack first. A lot of bad play in this fight comparatively. Especially that. But hey, that's why I had that there. Contingency plan first and foremost. It's not like I'm going to get any benefit from reviving if I don't revive. I'm glad that I'm glad that Slasher decided to turn around and get into the bear trap like that. That made my job a lot easier. And just a little weight. Throw that down so I can get a little extra damage here. Yes, Phase 2 was ridiculous. Phase 2 was really bad comparatively, but Phase 3 worked out significantly better, even though, well... Ooh, that was really close to getting hit by one of those banners. Thread that needle, man. Oh, don't go in too hard. Play it safe. I say to myself. And that was pretty scary ending there. But hey, I managed it okay. Got the boss cell. Beat the game. New game. Still does nothing in the game. It's just for, you know, making a video or if you want to challenge yourself. So... Hey, what are you gonna do? Symmetrical Lance, always good pickup, but it's not like I can use it on anything. I mean, hell, in future updates, I would probably use a Symmetrical Lance as one of my main items, because then I'd be able to upgrade it and everything later on, and it would be very good for that, but whatever. New game! That's it!